Ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator Gingona. And may I please thank Senator Bam here to my left and to my right, Senator Aquino, Senator Ejercito, and Senator Poe, who is already here, for giving way to me. They are implementing the adage, age before beauty. Mr. Chairman, I feel very lonely today because look at these vacant seats here, right in front of us. The Senate is composed of 24 senators. There are only 9 senators today. Why are they not here in one of the most significant hearings on the PDAF scam? The PDAF scam, possibly the worst financial scandal in Philippine politics in its entire history. Why are they not here? Did someone tell them or pay them not to appear here? Is that what a senator is supposed to do? I rose from my deathbed, from my sick bed. I think of it as my deathbed because I never rise there anymore. After this, I will have to stay in my sick bed for at least 2 days. In any event, Ms. Tuason, whom I have seen here, I will not pretend that I do not know you. I have always been casual friends with you. I will admit this to any person who asks, unlike Senator Enrile, who took all of 3 days to remember that he is your casual acquaintance. Para magkaibigan lang pala kayong casual acquaintance, sa itong araw niya pinag-isipan kung anong klase kang kaibigan niya. Ganon ang relasyon ni Senator Enrile dito sa hearing na ito. I have several points. I hope you forgive me if I speak very fast, but I hope you will not get nervous because if you are decided to tell the whole truth, then I am your friend. This first point. Napoles used code names for certain senators. Tanda for Enrile, Sexy for Estrada, Pogi for Revilla. Most recently, now we have come up with other code names. Dahon for Loren Legarda, Bigote for Vicente Soto, Bonget for Senator Marcos. Question, are you familiar with these code names? Do you know other code names and what they stand for?
Beg your pardon, ma'am?
Are you familiar with these code names? Meron ka pang alam, maliban sa tanda, sexy, pogi, dahon, bigote, bonget?
No, I know about the 3 because I saw that.
Yung iba?
No, I'm not.
Wala
aware.
nang iba? Maski dito sa reunion ninyo ni Ben Horloy, hindi kayo nagamit itong mga code names na ito?
Hindi, we didn't get to talk about it. I don't know.
So wala ka nang may dagdag. Okay, next point. In 2009, when you celebrated your 60th birthday, one newspaper society columnist called you a high society doyen.
Haha.
Another reportedly described you as, quote, refined, well-heeled, with good social graces, a socialite and a fashion plate, unquote. I agree with all of these descriptions from what I have known of you. During your time, similar encomiums were paid to you by starstruck journalists. In your affidavit, which I have, page 7, in answer to question number 29, you said, the transaction was consummated to a certain Mr. Matranillo showing the delivery of the sum of 1.197 million to a house at 1564 Mahogany Street, Dasmariñas Village, Makati City. Question number 30 asked, being a resident of Dasmariñas Village, do you know who resides at number 1564 Mahogany Street, Dasmariñas Village, Makati City? You answered, Justa Tantoco.
Yes, ma'am.
Question, are there other socialites, whether living in Dasmariñas or Forbes or any of those enclaves of the rich, who are also involved in pork barrel transactions or other similar uses of government funds, and will you please name them? Hindi ka lang naman mag-isa eh. Si Justa Tantoco, isa na rin. O sino pang yung iba?
That was the residence of Justa Tantoc.
Right.
I wasn't very sure if she's an agent. I don't know.
Well,
When I was asked whose house was that, I know that house because I have been there several times for
Yes.
parties.
You know that that is her house. You know that Matranillo delivered money there. And this was after you had already told a story where you're going to have a first transaction with Senator Estrada, and then you're about to receive money, but he canceled the whole thing.
Yes.
Pagkatapos, nagpadala ng pera, doon sa address na ito, tinanong katuloy ng mga ahente, kaninong bahayan, kay Justa Tantoco. Eh kung yun pala ang relasyon ninyo, na hindi lang natuloy, Di natural lang na mag-iisip ka na ganun din ang relasyon ng Musta Tantoco. Are you trying to clear, Ms. Tantoco?
No, I'm not. That it's
Oh.
in the affidavit of Ben-Hur. It was received by Pauline Labayen in the residence of
So it's
Musta.
natural only to presume that Mrs. Tantoco is engaged in the same business that you are. Oh.
I can only presume, pero
Oh.
wala ho akong proof.
Oh. You're a very intelligent witness. I've just proven it. Intelligent witness, by the way, is a term of art in law. Meaning to say, ang witness nakakaintindi. Eh, ganun ang negosyo mo. Hindi natuloy. Maya-maya, nalaman mo na yung pera pala binigay doon sa kapitbahay mo sa Dasmariñas Village. At sinasabi mo ngayon na, hindi ka sigurado kung ganon ang negosyo niya o hindi. Basta deliver yung pera doon. You just want to stick to your literal answer. Isn't that so?
What I heard, it was Matranillo, but I don't know Matranillo personally.
All right.
What I heard from when
Well,
it
I
was
believe that point.
Matranillo. But
I think, Mrs. Tuanzan, you're trying to tread on as few toes as possible. You're walking on eggshells. That's why you are very, very strict about the way your answers should be interpreted. If that is the case, I will oblige you. Next point. I told you a copy of your affidavit, which contains many interesting details and specifies certain names. As a former trial judge, I'm struck by the fact that your adversaries have done nothing except to issue denials. Itong si Ms. Tuason, nagsasalita siya at binibigyan niya ang petsa, ang pangalan, ang address. Samantalang makalaban niya ngayon, nagalit sa kanya dahil magtestigo siya laban sa kanila. Wala nang ginawa kundi deny. Ngayon, ano bang sabi ng batas tungkol sa denial? As a law student and as a lawyer in the courtroom, I implemented the rule that a positive assertion, like your affidavit, is given more weight in law than a negative assertion, like the denial of your adversaries. For your education, please allow me to quote certain recent decisions of the Supreme Court para matapos na itong debate sa dyaryo na kung pakinggan mo lang, alam na alam nilang batas. Hindi ganon yun eh. Ito, ang sabi ng Korte Suprema, we have laws, but these laws are interpreted by the Supreme Court. The court tells us what it means. Ngayon kung merong nagsasabing positive, nangyari yon. Merong nagsasabing hindi nangyari yon. Ang sabi ng ating Korte Suprema, paniwalaan natin ang nagsasabi ng positive, hindi ng negative. Kasi kadali lang magsabing hindi totoo yan. Said the court, denial is an inherently weak defense and has always been viewed upon with disfavor by the courts due to the ease with which it can be concocted, as in this case. Verily, mere denial, unsubstantiated by clear and convincing evidence, is negative self-serving evidence which cannot be given greater evidentiary weight than the testimony of the complaining witness who testified on affirmative matters. People versus Monte Calvo, decided in 2013, only a few months ago. Next case, quote, both denial and alibi are inherently weak defenses which cannot prevail over the positive and credible testimonies of the prosecution witnesses that appellants committed the crime. Unless substantiated by clear and convincing proof, such defense is negative, self-serving, and undeserving of any weight in law. People v. Nelmida, 2012. One more case, because there's an entire line of cases like this. Under the evidentiary rules, a positive assertion is generally entitled to more weight than a plain denial. Career Philippines, 2012. Denial, like, this is my favorite. Denial, like alibi, as an exonerating justification, is inherently weak and, if uncorroborated, regresses to blatant impotence. Blatant impotence. Impotent na, blatant pa. Lalo na kung matanda na. Thus, Mr. Witness, I humbly urge you to be as specific and detailed as possible in your replies to me, because such details are badges of truth-telling. If you do so, your adversaries will be revealed as blatantly impotent. Kaya, kung minsan, please excuse the manner in which I will ask you questions since we are old friends. I do not mean to be rude to you. I'm just carried away by my passion for the point that I'm trying to make. Next point. Mrs. Tuason, please forgive me, but I have to educate you first. There are two kinds of evidence in law. One is called direct evidence, the other is called indirect evidence. Direct evidence is sometimes also called eyewitness evidence. That is to say, what the witness saw with their five, or perceived with their five senses, without calling for any presumption or any inference. Indirect evidence is sometimes also called circumstantial evidence. And this kind of evidence is based on inference or presumption. You see, you're always answering, I presume so. That will become indirect or circumstantial. That's why I keep on insisting, will you please say outright? Because it's like this. You are presenting direct evidence. You're an eyewitness. Is there anything wrong with your five senses? Eye, ears, nose, and touch? No. You are in full possession of your five senses. This is important because the rules of court defines a witness as any person who can perceive with her five senses. And perceiving can make known her perception to others. So you're a perfect witness. You're a competent witness. You are an intelligent witness. In your affidavit, page 8, you said in answer to question number 33, quote, I personally, I cannot emphasize this enough, I personally delivered all the shares of Senator Jinggoy Estrada for the above-mentioned transactions in Green Hills, San Juan, or in his office in the Senate. When you meant personally, that means you yourself. Isn't that so?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you say personally, do you mean that you delivered it to Senator Estrada himself, or he was just in the vicinity?
No, to himself.
To him himself. And there's nothing wrong with your eyes or your sense of touch, right?
Right.
You're not half blind. You can recognize Senator Estrada.
Yes, ma'am.
And of course, you know when you yourself are doing it because you're not yet suffering from dementia, unlike other old people I know. Yes. So, this is categorical eyewitness evidence. Eyewitness evidence does not always need corroboration for the instruction of those who have been discussing the law as if they know it. You're an eyewitness. That is, in the words of the Secretary of Justice, slam dunk evidence. Or, in my own words, that is bullseye. Dahil nakita mo mismo eh. Meron bang takip doon si Senator Estrada? Did she go around with a mask?
No, ma'am.
Wala. Was there a curtain, a plastic curtain, no matter how thin or how translucent or how transparent between you and him? Kaya kitang-kita mo siya, hindi ba? Huling-huli siya.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yun. Ano pa ang kailangan natin dito? Kailangan patayin yan si Mrs. Tuason, but her testimony will remain in the records, and that is under oath. Kaya, in effect, you have said many times in your opening statement today and in your statement to the press upon arrival in Manila, you said, I'm prepared to give up my life. Since you are testifying in fear of death, what you are saying to us now may be considered dying declaration. Ngayon, sino sa tingin mo ang panganib sa iyong buhay dahil sa magtitestify ka? Marami ka nang sinabi dito eh. Nanganib ako sa buhay ko pero magtitestigo ako. Tapos tinanong ka, sino kaya itong mga taong ito na kinatatakutan? Mukha mo, yung mga nababanggit ko. Nabanggit mo Senator Enrile, hindi ba? O delikado pa lang buhay mo sa kanya. Oh, si Senator Estrada din. Alright, thank you. Question, did you personally deliver the money to Senator? Well, no. Let me go on to the next point. In your affidavit, page 10, you said in answer to question number 41, quote, I personally received the share of Senator Juan Ponce Enrile from Janet Napoles and personally gave it to Attorney Gigi Reyes, who in turn picked up personally in my house or in a restaurant where we both agreed to meet. Question, when you met Attorney Gigi Reyes as the bug woman of Senator Enrile, was there anything wrong with your five senses? Were you suffering, for example, from an eye infection, or were you wearing the wrong glasses? Were you wearing sunglasses so that they would intrude into your sense of vision?
No, ma'am.
No. Your vision was clear.
Yes.
And you saw Attorney Gigi Reyes, not virtually, but in reality, standing before you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, according to your affidavit, paminsan-minsan, sinusundo siya ni Senator Enrile. No? Or sometimes you stay for a coffee. Bakit niya sunduin ang chief of staff niya? Di ibig sabihin, asawa niya o kerida niya. Hindi ba? Bakit mo sunduin ang chief of staff mo? Ang chief of staff mo, utusan mo. A senator, you say, go there, come here, bring me this thing. I don't go and pick up my chief of staff wherever it is that I assign her on official business. And it would be strange. People would suspect a relationship between me and my chief of staff. So why is this man, who is already 90 years old, picking up somebody who is young enough to be his daughter? I would like to know. Well, I will only be asking you for your opinion, so we'll just skip that question. But I want to know, kunwari wala siya doon pag nagbigayan kayo ng pera. Kung minsan binibigay mo kay Attorney Reyes, kung minsan si Attorney Reyes nagbibigay sa iyo, no? Oh.
Hindi siya nagbibigay sa akin, si Attorney Reyes.
I'm sorry?
You said si Attorney Reyes ang nagbibigay
Oo.
sa'yo. She doesn't give me...
She doesn't. You yourself.
I'm the one that gives
I
to
stand
her.
corrected. I'm sorry. Ngayon, pagkatapos niyan, kung minsan sa restaurant kayo, no? Kung minsan nasa bahay kayo, doon sa Yakan Street, malapit sa bahay ko yan eh.
Yakal?
Yes!
Hindi, bahay ko ho siya pupunta.
Sa bahay mo.
Pick up.
Okay. I was only going to say that Attorney Gigi Reyes lives in number 2 Yakan Street, La Vista, Quezon City. I live in 6 Bagobo Street, La Vista, Quezon City, but those two streets are parallel to each other. And my guards are in the habit of saying, the Enrile house, when they point to that direction. I was shocked when I heard them talking like that. I can call any of them at any time. Well, anyway. Ngayon, pero merong isang incident na nasa ikainan kayo, no? And you talk business, perhaps money exchange hands, and then Senator Enrile would come and join you for a cup of coffee. Or sometimes you said he would pick up Attorney Gigi Reyes. That's in your affidavit. Am I quoting you correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Ngayon, pag pumunta siya na matapos ng usapan ninyo ni Gigi Reyes, may komentaryo ba siya tungkol sa pera?
Si Senator po?
Oo.
Wala ko naman.
Wala. Basta darating siya, inom siya ng kape.
Dadaalis siya. Minsan,
Oo.
kasama niya si attorney.
Nagpapanggap-panggapan siya na wala siyang pakialam doon sa pinag-usapan ninyo. No? Kasi, wala kang nakikita na overt act niya.
Wala po.
Wala. Ngayon, I want you to know na kung wala siyang kibo, that still is incriminatory because under the Civil Code of the Philippines, silence means consent. Alam niya kung anong pinag-uusapan niyo, ba't niya susunduin doon? Kung ikaw boyfriend, hindi ka ba magtatanong, anong gagawin mo doon? Sunduin kita mamayang ganito. Sinong kausap mo doon? Di ba ganon yan? That's only natural. People who are facing Valentine's Day know that that is the SOP. Sabihin mo lang na, magkita na lang tayo mamaya. Hindi na magtatanong kung sinong kausap mo, tungkol sa anong usapan ninyo. Lalo na kung malapit kayo sa isa't isa in an emotional way. Kaya, I can understand if you will not commit to a specific statement about the implication of the fact that Senator Enrile used to go to where you were having an appointment with his chief of staff and then just drink coffee without saying anything about your prior conversation, or just go there to pick up his chief of staff. I can understand that. So, just to lift this burden off your chest, just answer me one question. Kakilala mo ba si Alice Eduardo? Alice Eduardo. Negosyante yan.
Yeah, I met her.
Yeah, pareho kayong negosyante, hindi ko ba?
She lives a block away from me, I think.
Alright. Ngayon itong Alice Eduardo na ito is the subject of a running series of articles against wrongdoing and illegality in CESA, CESA stands for Cagayan Free Port, which was created by then Representative Juan Ponce Enrile when he was still a member of the House of Representatives. The reporter, Hilka Bakungan of Inquirer, is trying to show that there are interlocking directorships between the corporation of Alice Eduardo and a corporation where the mother, the brothers, etc. of Gigi Reyes are members of the board. Ngayon, Kung ganun yon, ito palang Alice Eduardo na ito, may relasyon pala ito kay Enrile. Dahil where Gigi Reyes is, can Enrile be far behind? Kaya intindi ko kung ayaw mong igit o sabihin categorically, despite my plea to you to submit as detailed a statement as you can make, because that is, as I said, a badge of truth-telling. Ayaw mo isangkot itong si Alice Eduardo dahil mamaya lalabas na meron pala siyang relasyon kay Enrile at kay Gigi Reyes. Oh. Kung gusto magdebate tayo, pero I doubt it very much. Next point. There are two ways by which a person can become a state witness. Para maintindihan ng tagapakinig sa atin. Kasi kung ano ng mga pinagsasabing na inis talaga kung basahin sa dyaryo eh. Para bang alam nilang batas. Hindi nag-aral ng batas, hindi nag-practice ng batas, pero ang dami nilang alam tungkol sa batas. May balak pa na lekturan ang mga abogado. Ay, susta. This is going to be the empire of the apes. Kung hindi mo supuin ito. Ngayon, there are two ways to become a state witness. One is, you have been arraigned, meaning to say plead guilty or not guilty, and the court has attained jurisdiction over you, and in fact, the trial is already going on. The prosecution, as in the natural order of events, is already presenting evidence, but before the prosecution rests its case so that the defense can start presenting its case, then at that point, the prosecution is allowed, under the rules of court, to discharge one of the accused so that the accused will turn state witness. State witness means a person will no longer have any criminal liability. In fact, he will no longer be included among those who are charged or accused. And what is more, in exchange, he has to tell the whole truth, not only the truth, but the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. No falsities or lies incorporated in the gist of what he is saying. Those are the requirements for a state witness. So there are two methods there. Number one, by discharge. When the trial is already pending, because the court has to exercise its jurisdiction, it has already achieved its jurisdiction. And the second way is by acceptance into the witness protection program. Kaya dalawang bahagi yon, or dalawang parte yon. What has happened to you, Mrs. Tuason, is this. Apparently, from what I read in the newspapers, you applied for admission to the Witness Protection Program with the Department of Justice. The Justice Secretary admitted you into the program, presumably by giving you a certificate of admission to the program. Then you go to the Ombudsman and you present the certificate of admission to the witness program. The Ombudsman, under jurisprudence, has to give full faith and credit to your certificate of admission. Because, basically, the function of selecting who can be state witness is executive, not judicial. But under our law, it is only the court, the Sandigan Bayan, that can approve with finality the recommendation to be a state witness. So, Mrs. Tuason, despite your admission to the program by the Secretary of Justice, despite your reception given to you by the Ombudsman, still, the ultimate power will be the Sandigan Bayan. And by the way, there's no such thing as a provisional state witness. You're only an applicant, but you're an applicant apparently in good standing. The people you dealt with, the Secretary of Justice, the Ombudsman, apparently receive you with welcome because, as I shall point out later, the function of the philosophy of the law is to encourage state witnesses. So, maski ano pang paglait mo sa taong mag-state witness, under the law, and we live only under the rule of law, the law encourages you, welcomes you to become a state witness because that is the only way we can get at the truth. Ngayon, in my personal humble view, you fit all the requirements for a state witness. There are 5 requirements. Number 1, there's an absolute necessity for your direct evidence. Number 2, there is no other direct evidence, only yours. Number 3, your testimony can be substantially corroborated in its material points. There, all your neighbors have already executed affidavits which in effect corroborate what you have said in your own affidavit. 4, you are not the most guilty, not by any means. If you are guilty, it is only because of the frailties of human nature, but you are not the most guilty here. And finally, as far as I know, you have not been offended, you have not been convicted of any crime involving an offense concerning moral turpitude. So, you're a perfect state witness. And as a result, because you have promised to tell all, you entered into a conspiracy to defraud the government of money. You have promised to tell all. There's nobody else we can turn to. No one will say anything. The law says, then let her be. Protect her. Don't say anything more against her. She's the only way you can arrive at the truth. All of our proceedings here in the Senate, there in the Department of Justice, there in the Ombudsman, there in the Saligan Bayan, all of our proceedings are meant to elicit the truth. The public must remember that. The rules of court defines itself as the rules for the ascertainment of truth. Kaya importante talaga makuha natin ang katotohanan dito. Of course, like any possible state witness, you have been subjected either to praise on one hand, like I'm doing right now, or to blame on the other hand by those who are pretending to be bitter that you are going to give away their secrets. So your adversaries, Senator Enrile and Senator Estrada, claim in effect that your testimony will be biased, self-serving, and will reflect coaching by the NBI. Yun ang sasabi nila ngayon. Question, did the NBI or any other person tell you what to say or otherwise to lie?
No, ma'am.
Please repeat for the record.
No, ma'am.
No.
They didn't coach me.
NBI did not coach me, NBI did not tell me to lie, NBI told you to what?
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. So, following your categorical answer, I repeat, the fact is that the law not only allows, but in fact encourages you to become a state witness. Iyon ang gusto ng ating batas. I quote from the very new 2013 case of Ampatuan Jr. versus Secretary of Justice. Quote, these modes are intended to encourage a person who has witnessed a crime or has knowledge of its commission to come forward and testify in court or a quasi-judicial body or before an investigating authority by protecting him from reprisals and shielding him from economic dislocation. Kaya let's be clear about this. The law, and only the law matters in these proceedings, not politics, not emotion, not name-calling, not mudslinging. The law says we encourage accused. So, consonant with the injunction by the Supreme Court, I humbly encourage you to tell all you know about any and all PDAF transactions at this hearing, because that will help all of us to arrive at what is the truth. Next point. From your affidavit, I gather that it was Mrs. Napoles who requested you to introduce her to Senator Enrile and Senator Estrada. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Question 1. Why did not Napoles ask you to introduce her to the rest of the 24 senators? Because you presumably know every one of us since you were formerly Social Secretary in Malacanang. Bakit niya pinili itong dalawang ito?
Pinili niya ho si Senator Estrada kasi anak siya nung dati kong boss Malacanang. Alam niyang kakilala ko si
Kakilala mo na dati. Okay? What about kay Senator Enrile?
Senator Enrile dahil
Anong rason niya?
maybe I mentioned to her I was close to Gigi. I'm not sure. I probably did.
Mm-hmm. So, dalawa lang. Nilimit lang niya?
No, I said those are the only two that I'm quite close to.
Alright. Pero, nang kinausap ka niya, kung pwedeng kausapin mang senador, dalawa lang bang binanggit niya o meron pa siyang ibang binanggit?
Wala naman siyang binanggit.
Wala na rin. Bakit ang Mrs. Napoles na ito, namimili No. Diba? Nagdi-discriminate. So, maski dalawa lang binanggit niya, hindi ka ba kusa nagsabing, lapitan na rin natin itong si A, si B, si C. No?
Hindi ho.
No.
Hindi ko naman sila ganun kakilala.
Oo. Alright. Let me go to the next point. Basta, tinarget lang talaga ni Napoles, si Enrile at si Estrada. Wala nang iba pa. At kung ano man ang rason niya, bakit niya tinarget ito? Kasi natural kung lalapit ka sa tao, kung hindi ka niya kakilalang mabuti, malamang sa mabibigo ka lang. You'll either be refused an appointment or you can be received but given the cold treatment. Di ba? Kung di mo kakilala, nagpapakilala ka dahil meron ka ng antimanong intuition gathered from several facts in the past that this person will be welcome, will be conducive to a friendship or will present you a welcome with respect to your proposal. Hindi ba ganon? Kaya ngayon, dahil wala dito si Mrs. Napoles, kailangan mag-surmise na lang tayo, bakit pinili ni Napoles itong si Enrile at si Estrada? Ano ang gayuman nila? Na sila lang ang pinili niya. O, sa negosyong ito, kakilala na kaya sila? Ngayon, next point. Under the rules of court, when a witness testifies, his testimony should be corroborated by another witness. Hindi naman ulit meron kang testigo tapos na ang kaso. Hanggat sa mari, merong nagko-corroborate sa kanya, isa, dalawa. Pero hindi naman sa paramihan ng testigo. No, because the Supreme Court has taught us witnesses must be weighed. Tingnan mo kung anong bigat ng sinasabi niya, not numbered. Hindi lang sa bilang nila. O, ngayon. That is the general rule. A witness must be corroborated by another witness. But there is an exception, and I have to read from the 2010 case of People v. Anabe. You'll notice I'm always reading all these latest cases because in law, the latest case has the greater weight. Yung nauna ng desisyon, mahina na yon. Yung pinakabagong desisyon, yon ang talagang batas dyan. Ngayon, sabi ng Korte Suprema, quote, the uncorroborated testimony of a state witness may be sufficient when it is shown to be sincere in itself, because it is given unhesitatingly and in a straightforward manner, and full of details which, by their nature, could not have been the result of deliberate afterthought. This exception, however, applies only if the state witness is an eyewitness, since the testimony would then be direct evidence. Kaya, hindi ka lang eyewitness, direct pa ang evidence mo. Kaya hindi ka na kailangan i-corroborate. Kasi ikaw mismo ang nakakita eh. Since you are an eyewitness and your testimony is direct evidence, there is no need for corroboration, actually. However, prior to your appearance and your affidavit, many other whistleblowers already executed affidavits which serve to corroborate your testimony. Who are these other witnesses who serve to corroborate your affidavit? They're seated beside you. This is a rhetorical question. Who are they? Sino makakorroborate ng mga pinagsasabi ninyo? Ayan.
Si Ben-Hur po.
And who else?
Well, Miss Napoles.
Is there anybody else?
Marina ba yun? Marina Sula.
Mm-hmm. And others that you cannot immediately name.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Next point. In your affidavit, page 3, in answer to question 9, you said that upon learning of the NBI and DOJ investigations, quote, out of fear for my personal safety, I immediately left the Philippines for the United States of America. By now, you already know that another person interested in this pork barrel scam, Attorney Gigi Reyes, former Chief of Staff of Senator Enrile, in addition to the other roles that he played in his life, also left the Philippines and until now has not been located. Question. While you were abroad or at any time after the pork barrel scam was reported in the media, have you been in touch with Attorney Reyes?
No, I was never in touch with her.
In your affidavit, page 5, in answer to question number 20, you said that you already knew Senator Enrile because you were godparents at a wedding. And you said, quote, his chief of staff, Attorney Gigi Reyes, comma, and I were friends before I even met Mrs. Napoles.
Yes, ma'am.
Question. If it is true that Attorney Reyes and you were friends way back, why is it that in your affidavit, page 9, in answer to question numbers 38 and 39, you said, quote, at first, Attorney Gigi Reyes refused to see your client, Janet Napoles, but agreed to course the release of Senator Juan Ponce's Enriles PDAF, etc.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,